Nice, healthy weekend. What you're feeling, what you're doing. Uh, what's happening with you? What's happening? How you living? How you living? How you living? Thought I'd come on here this early part of the day, depends on where you are in the world, and see if anybody was above and anybody's out and about. See what we working with out here. See what you thinking about. Get this poll question up. We're gonna bring that one off and forthright. Start this party started. See we got anybody coming through. See what I'm about to do. So we're working with, see if anybody's on board. Okay. Somebody hit the like already. So thank you, Bob. Come on through. See what we're working with. Might be early for you. See what we got, what we got. Feel free to hit that poll question. Hit that like. The question is, you cool with Joe Biden pardoning his son? I got no problems with it. You supposed to pardon. That's your fam. So what you expect? Nepotism. What's up? Bright and early. What's up? Glad to have you here early. Thought I'd come on board. I got working on quite a few videos today. A lot of these dumb coaches out here are just so pathetic and embarrassing. I'm sure you can attest to that. Well, they're in the driver's seat right now. They got the division sold up. They got a chance to be number one seed, number two at the worst, because Baltimore lost, so that's huge yesterday. So, uh, yeah, Meathead Monday. Who we gonna talk about? We talked about it. Will Hardy is contending. Will Hardy, boy, your team sucks, and you're gonna call a timeout when you have a chance to win the game. The Lakers were spent, and they gave them a chance to catch their breath. Everybody knew Sexton was gonna get the rock. The Cardinals are a frustrating team because Kyler Murray deserves better. We're hard head. The Vikings 10-2, and I don't know if they're that good. I don't know. I still don't really know how good the Vikings are. I still don't really know. But they win. They win. I kind of feel for Kyler Murray though, because I think he's playing good. It's just that they just I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, the Jazz had your butt beat. The Lakers are so lucky because they're not that good. Even with your best 2 players scoring 60 points and doing what they did, you still had to have all them refs, all that. The kicker sucks. Who missed all them? He's Poochie. Kirk Cousins doing Kirk Cousins things. Come on now. He's not done. He always gives you an out of body game where he looks like he belongs to start. He's somewhere between a first, second, and a third tier quarterback. He's average, he's good, and he looks great. And you don't know which mix you're gonna get of him. He just doing Kirk Cousin things. That's all. That's why he got a 25-year career. Because he been hustling ever since. Yeah, he do. He do. He do. But Minnesota, I don't really know. I really don't know how good they are. I'm still really don't know. Because they're one of the most suspect 10-2 teams I've ever seen. And I still can't get a grasp if they're that good, or if they're that lucky, or if they're just an average team that's just finding ways to do one thing and get it right at the end. I don't know. Can't say. Cincinnati is the most strangest team of all. Any other team that had a quarterback, Joe Burrow, and they score like they score, but he also beats himself with turnovers. Yeah, Russell looked good. You got your new AB though. Pickens cracks me up. He's very AB Junior Whopper. Tomlin was talking about that. Yeah, that was very impressive. If they play like that, they could come out the AFC because they're scoring and Russell is playing really good. So it all depends. But again, Cincinnati don't play no defense, and Cincinnati chirps more than they actually use their beaks. So I don't know. But Cincinnati, if you're a Bengals fan, you gotta get rid of your coach though. Yeah, yeah, he doing this thing. I'm not saying that away. But I gotta give it to Tomlin though. Tomlin got them boys playing. I'm not really that up on their defense because they play to whoever they play to. You want me to be impressed by defense? Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. If you saw my video that I did, that's the defense I'm impressed with. I think what they're doing is impressive because I saw them do that to New Orleans and then turn around and do that to Lamar. So it shows me that they travel real well. They just tend to beat their own selves with stupidity on offense. Their defense doesn't let them down. He sure does, man. Because Russell ain't looked like that in about. But then again, this is a one-off game. He did look kind of ordinary the last few weeks. Cincinnati don't play no defense, so if you can sling it, you can beat them. I'm not really feeling the Bengals too tough, so that's not really a surprise or shock. Not for me, it's not. Yeah, and he's been carrying the team the whole year, so but I was impressed with their defense more than anything. I would say Shaquan. Shaquan, because he's carried the team the whole year. You know, Jalen Hurts is not playing better than Lamar Jackson, but Saquon Barkley didn't carry the Eagles. I mean, he played like a man possessed. He's so influential and so impactful that Jalen Hurts is starting to play better, and his former quarterback got thrown out the building. So that should tell you something right there. That should be your answer right there. Daniel Jones got thrown out the building. That should tell you all you need to know to answer your question. I know Josh Allen being a Bills fan, but the Bills still got a legit team. It's not like Justin Tucker getting old, man. And but that wasn't why they lost that game. Those 6 points weren't gonna make a difference. Philly made them into a half field team. They didn't let Lamar dance and be cute. They didn't let Derrick Henry do a power run. They kept them at bay. They kept them in front of them. And that's the Eagles defense, yo. The game like that, Baltimore got put touchdowns up. That was a beating. Philly got into him physically. That wasn't. Yeah, he missed. He was a poochie, but that's not why you lost the game. It didn't cost him the game. I already did that video, and I was pleasantly. I got your reaction. I did the video, caught the highlights, watched it. Ohio State had fraudulent. Now, good luck, Penn State. Penn State got to go beat Oregon. Good luck with that. That's the only hope. But they're going to be a two-loss team that's going to contend for the bowl. Don't get it twisted, because Ohio State, Bama, and don't be surprised if Georgia circles the top 6, 7 wagon. Yeah, well, you ain't those same Ohio State. The thing is that, you know, best running back I ever watched? Before I could really watch, I would say Jim Brown and OJ before I could watch. They were incredible for their eras, and I hold them in high regard. In my own peripheral, just watching a guy where I was like, wow, this guy, probably Barry Sanders. Barry was amazing because I can see a lot of people. There's a lot of backs that come to mind that I like. The best power back I saw probably was Earl Campbell that I saw, but I respect Adrian Peterson. The Damian Thomason, who I look at, I call him the James Harden of running backs because that guy, he never did anything in the postseason, but in the regular season, he was as good as anybody ever saw. Falk was a better all-purpose back, but Tomlinson was on another level. In fact, they called him LT after Lawrence Taylor. So I should tell you how bad he was. He just didn't do nothing in the postseason. Falk was bad. Falk came up. Falk was bad, but LT was another level. Well, if Eddie George gets the opportunity, though, if the Deion Sanders effect is real, then maybe. But you see, the only thing about Ohio State, they just need tweaking against a couple of games. It's not like they stink, because Lord knows Ryan Day wouldn't be able to go home if they only had 7, 8 wins. But you know that magical 10 wins. And the sad part for you, I did the video, 2 losses by 4 points. That's the only difference right now, keeping you from being perfect in the title. So, but yeah, I got to give it to Tomlinson. I think Tomlinson for me, he just had the James Harden syndrome. Couldn't do nothing in the postseason. Was one of the baddest backs I ever saw in the regular season, and I like the LT too. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. By and large, most running backs that play for Philadelphia never did get love like that. Wilbur Montgomery never did. Um, Ricky Waters didn't, and LaShawn. Shady was bad, but that's not it. That's not it. And plus, let's keep it 100. He was never the best back during his peak in his prime. Let's keep it 100. There were better backs that were around when he was on. Yeah, but Le'Veon Bell was a different back, though. Brian Westbrook was bad, but he wasn't the best back. Philly's never had the back that you sit there and say you're the best back in the NFL. He wasn't better. He wasn't the best back in the He wasn't the best back in the NFL. Being good, there were backs that were better. He was in the argument, you might say near top 5. He wasn't the best back though. Because you mention other backs, you'll see what I'm talking about. You know, I liked him, but you know, and running backs, you got to do something really distinctive that stands out from the crowd. They've lost flavor over the years, though. Okay, I got to deal with some old jive turkey. You got to go. I like Sproles. Sproles, those kind of backs I like. There was a cat when I was a kid named Joe Morrissey was like that for the Giants. Army and wiry. You always get those kind of backs that they scat backs. They beat you like Lydell Mitchell back there. They give you problems. Every team should have one like that. So I like that. Please continue to hit the like, subscribe, and hit that poll question. And feel free to answer questions. We're on here Be early depending on where you are, afternoon where you are, maybe night where you are. Feel free. Let's get it. See some people in here, so let's get at it. We're just talking about football right now, but we can cover a wide range. Obviously, the poll questions about Joe Biden pardon. We can cover range. Talking about football, start of the holiday season. It's December. Whatever you want to talk about. If you want to talk about basketball, and whatever you want to talk about, I got a wide range. And check out the videos too. Because I think in NFL it's called compartmentalized. They put linebackers, guys who got speed, it's called packages. So he wasn't used to that NFL speed. In college, you can get away with doing a two-step and getting by on people. They bring in linebackers, they bring in guys packages for exactly to keep a tab on you. And I think that, yeah, I remember Kevin Falk. I think that he adjustment, it's a different level. There are levels to it. NFL hits different than college does. And guys today get a little bit more advanced than even Reggie Bush played. You want to ask like how 15, 20 years makes a difference? They're more prorated than they were when he played. So he got in for a rude awakening, but he did get the best opportunity by playing in New Orleans. Just that Colston was a better fit and Deuce was a better fit. But playing in New Orleans was the best situation to highlight his skills. It's just that he ended up being like Desmond Howard, being an all-purpose player. And people thought he was going to follow the steps of O.J. Simpson and Marcus Allen, and it didn't happen. Speed is the truth because you got linebackers who run crazy. And you know, you ain't expecting a guy that's pushing 250, 3 bills to run you and catch you from behind. And see, he wasn't used to getting tracked like that. And then we don't talk about the safeties, but the linebackers, they cover a lot of ground. So then you got to learn how to block. You got to learn how to offset. You got to come in there expecting to, Willie Parker, you got to come in there. And he wasn't cut to be a 16 to 20 carry man a down. That's another thing. If he played today, he might be able. They probably would have slotted him like they do Odell Beckham Jr. or something. He probably would have been like Tony Pollard. He came along, so he was. But he did have the right system with Sean Payton playing in New Orleans. That was the right system for his style. That he would have thrived, you know. So, um, you know, it's all systems that you get. I tell anybody when you ask me, it's all about the systems you get when you get to the pros. Because I don't care how talented you are, you got to adjust to the system. Very few guys come in there and they're pro ready. Most of the time, to the pro ready aren't the guys you expect. So it's a whole different hit. Yeah, I remember Kevin Falk, you know. So that's what I think happened with Reggie. And I also think it was that Kardashian curse too. Messing with them Kardashians can mess your I don't know what it is. It hit different. Don't it can throw you off too. So I don't know if bad lips, bad mouthwash, I don't know. Fred Taylor was one of those guys that was in our call. It was kind of like I look at Fred Taylor kind of like I look at Baron Davis, the guard for Charlotte. Kind of similar. One of those guys that was bad. Like should have been, could have been. And you just kind of scratch your head how come it didn't go to the next level because he had the makings, but it was just like he was just a tear off from that next. Was it there were some people that were just a little bit better? Was it personal? Same type of thing. Different sports, but the same way I look at them. I still remember that game against Miami when they didn't even have to wash their uniforms. It was 63-7 when they spanked Miami and Jimmy Johnson's hair went all in the air. And he was running like if it was flag football, they never put a hand on him. He had games where he looked incredible, but then he kinda forgot. And I look at him like I kinda look at Baron Davis. This is some guys that kinda like you wonder how come it didn't quite go there because he had the makings. He had the makings, you know. I thought he was bad, but he was very explosive. But again, there's always a couple of guys like that for whatever reason. It just don't hit. It don't hit. It's like that in any professional. I've seen actors like that. I've seen singers like that, you know, rappers, musicians. Cats are good, straight up, really to very good. And then you're like, can you get to great? And then that is like putting penny loafers on in the ice. You know. I liked him more as an all-purpose cat, not for his, he was strong and he could run. And I thought he was a good commentator, but I didn't think of him like I did Fred Taylor. I liked him though. He was tough. Yeah, that one, and I would say the Miami and Ohio State, the Maurice Claret bowl. Vince was bad. Vince just didn't really get a chance to NFL. He had Stephen A. Smith hating on his arms, sidearm. I thought he was, I thought Vince was nice. Vince could have played in the NFL. I seen a lot worse, and I seen a lot of cats that couldn't win like him, but he just didn't get no love. So, you know, that's all. It's a lot of politics involved, as you know. It ain't always what you think. Yeah, he did. I remember. You ain't got to remind me. You ain't got to remind me. I remember. You forget I am a Wolverine fan, so you ain't got to remind me. I knew about the Vince Young Greatest Hits tour, and he'll always get a welcome in Texas. He had that one episode because of his arm style and his styling. And Stephen A was hating on him because of the way he did the sidearm thing. But Fisher Price went and got Steve McNair to went through that, and they were desperate, and it just didn't hit. But you're not exactly going to attract a lot of top tier. I know you do, because you ain't got nothing else better to do with your time. Because your team gonna be playing. You know your team gonna be in the Doritos Bowl, so I understand. Don't you dare lose. Don't you dare fall out of favor. You want too much, but you know you could be headed to Doritos Bowl. You better hope Penn State upset. No, I don't know. You're in a real strange oddity. Penn State loses, you got hope, but if Penn State wins, ugh, could be bad for you, Ohio State fans. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, you miss all you want. Your coach sucks, and you know it. Even though Urban Myers is somewhere right now getting a lap dance, Urban Myers, he knew how to win that game. Say what you want to say about old Urban. Got it done. Yeah. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that, though. Vince was nice, though, straight up. Hey, you said it. You said it. Marvin Lewis, because at least Jeff Fisher went to a Super Bowl. Jeff Fisher had his teams in postseasons and stuff. Marvin Lewis, I don't know what Marvin Lewis ever did. I mean, he did bring the team back. Um, he did have them credible, but he didn't have half the thing that Jeff Fisher did. Jeff Fisher got that. He can put that on his resume. Maybe. I mean, he been gone long enough where people kind of forget about how left Seattle. Maybe. I don't know. He rah-rah dude, so yeah, why not? I mean, he is a rah-rah dude, but we'll tear his behind up too. We'll send him back in retirement. Don't worry. Because Michigan gonna be better than they were. They 7-5 and they stunk this year. Remember, they gonna get the Fruit of the Loom Bowl. So with the coach, watch. That ain't gonna make no difference. Yeah, he was. Well, what's up? Where you coming from, Shauna Gothic? How you doing? Yeah, I lived around the Midwest too, so I'm around that area. I got family and people around that area. Marvin was a strong coordinator. He did pretty good for Cincinnati as a coach. He did. I heard about it. He got down, but now this stage, I don't know what you're gonna do. We're gonna see how it turns out for you. You might fool around. If Penn State gets smashed, like I think they're gonna get smashed, you'll be in the top 4, 5 bowl. You won't fall too bad. They'll find a way to get you hooked up. Yeah, Marvin was. He did a great job as a coordinator too. I still remember when Tony Kornheiser said if he could win a certain amount of games for the Bengals, he would be like the Vince Lombardi or something. First of all, I don't know who you are. And I don't know what you mean by secretive because I don't even know you. And are you asking me questions? Where you coming from? There's no secrets or nothing. Depends on what we talk about. I'm not an open book because I do believe in privacy, but I don't know. That you got my attention with that secretive. I'm just coming on here, just we're talking about different topics, so I don't know. You have to explain yourself on that one and where you're coming from because I don't know. And where are you from anyway? I don't know. No, no, Marvin was on there when they won the Super Bowl against the Giants. That's how he got hooked up. That's how he got hooked up. He was one of the coordinators before he got to Cincinnati. Marvin was there. I always don't know if Rex was on there and then brother was on there. Brother was a coordinator for everybody. Yeah, because I can't go into certain code words I have to say. You can't just say anything on here because they come at you. So if you're using that as your basis, yeah, that's not secretive. That's just political. That's a lot of politics that goes on. That anybody will tell you that if you are a YouTube content creator or you comment, or if you comment on other topics, which I do to other posters, they can take some of your stuff off or act funny with you. So I do. There is codes. We watch how we say certain things. There's certain things that if you watch topics, they're not just generalized. There was a time when YouTube wasn't like that, but they changed their game. Yeah, they are. That's true. Just like assistant coaches in any profession, baseball, football, soccer, tennis, they're better suited for somebody else. They're not suited to be the top dog. Just like some people in the music business, they're better suited to being producers or arrangers or musicians for others. Their solo career will go glad bag. I've seen that. They can't sing. They could write a song. Yeah, he ran pretty good last night in the snow, but he was done. And they had their fourth tier, fifth tier crew out there. But that's not why they lost to the Bill. They fumbled and missed kicks, but I told you, shenanigans should be gone. Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick should be trying to get that job because that's too much talent that hasn't cashed in. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for the 49ers. No excuse at all. Too much talent over there to, keep getting ribbons. Well, that's nothing new. Secret societies and fraternities. Fraternities, they're getting exposed. Fraternities is kind of like some of these priests that are out here. Uh, no, I ain't coming to Buffalo. Um, Fraternities have always been like that. Mason, the different things. The secret societies, part of the industry. People talk about the Illuminati, handshakes, gestures. Nothing new. People are bringing it forth because of the business partnerships, the money. There's nothing new. They own everything. They work in code, and they all kind of got a way of they pick certain people for certain positions and overall ethics and views of what they want. So it's pretty much documented. They're their own mob, if you want to call it their own mafia. Ain't nothing, only for people who think that everybody is all in the same boat. No, they all have cliques. It's no different than chat groups and personal groups and so on and so forth. You know. Now it depends on what line of business you're in and clientele and so on, but there's a lot of people that operate like that, especially in Hollywood and Congress and politics and churches too. That's a very deep, wide range, broad topic. No, Ted, he wouldn't come to us. We ain't got nothing for him. We don't need a rah-rah coach. We just need a coach that knows how to handle ego and can win at a high level. We don't need a rah-rah coach. Mm-mm. McDermott can be free to shut me up if the Bills go all the way. But if he don't go to the Super Bowl, with this is it for him. Depends on what you're talking about on social media. If you look what you're looking to get into. If you're looking to create your own avenue, I would say do that. Be healthy about it. Make your bag. Be right by people. Understand you need people. You'll understand about giving as time goes on even more and more. Stay humble about life. You know, stay humble and don't take social media all too serious where you gotta feel clicks and views and stuff. Because sometimes people are just watching what you do. You, it's just no different in real life. So, you know, don't take it too personal. Don't take your highs too highs and your lows too lows. You know, keep yourself balanced. That's what I would tell you. Have conversations, you know, but don't get caught up in it. It's another vacuum. It has its place, but it ain't the end all be all. Because believe me, you got to go out and get you some fresh air and feel the birds and hear the nature. So it ain't the end all be all. Has its place. Don't get it twisted, but it's not the end all be all. That's what I would tell you. And I just say stay humble and keep yourself balanced. No, Ted, that ain't even gonna be up for discussion. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Don't need him. Now, if he went with Cleveland and Jameson, or he went to Arizona with Kyler Murray, young quarterback, I think he'd do good with a Kyler Murray. Well, conspiracy theories are alive because there's a lot of unhidden, a lot of uncertain. We've gone through a lot of uncertain things that we've dealt with in the last 20 some years. So there's a lot of reasons why that comes about. You know, people are leery of a lot because it's called counterculture. Rich, you don't have to. You can create anything you want. If you One thing about being in America, if you've got something that can be a counter to what's out there, you can challenge the status quo, the establishment. The ABA, like the USFL, challenged the industry. Napster challenged the music industry. Now that's why Spotify and all it was created. Think about it. They end up joining. So don't tell anybody tell you that the so-called powers that be is the end all be all. If you got something that you create, they're gonna want in on it. The AFL and the NFL wasn't always the NFL. The AFL had its own. The Negro leagues in baseball, everything was a business. So when they see that you are a business, they gotta respect money. Think about the whole thing with the Saudi Arabia and the PGA golf. There they gotta go there because that money green. Think about it. So you can counter what they're proposing as the end all be all. That's why the NBA had to get in bed. And it was a counter league. And you can do that. That's why the internet, it gives people a counter. You don't have to deal with Hollywood and stuff. You got content, you can create your movies, you can create your film, you can create your vision. You don't need that system no more. Think about it. It's all connected. It allows you to dream. Yeah, Arizona, I think. No, 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 no. Only if the Bears were a legit team. Caleb is nice, but I like Kyler Murray better for him. Kyler Murray, mobile at Caleb Williams um, would work good with Sean Payton. There's certain types. No, no. Depends on which kind of vibe you put out. I don't know if anybody would. Everybody's gonna watch you, but it's how you go about your business. If you watch what I say in terms of how you handle yourself, you ain't got to worry about all that. They gonna watch you regardless. But the thing is, unless you don't put that on your forehead that you want them to watch you, they ain't gonna know what you're doing. They're not gonna know your bank business, your investment, your stock, your portfolio, your crypto, whatever you into. You know. Um, I would just tell you, you know, to be wise about the choices you make where you want to have for yourself. Think about being self-employed. Think about creating your own net. You know, you can do that. And you have the ability and the chance now to have a say over your being. Things ain't gonna be the way they look now in 20, 25 years. They got all the electric cars, all the Zoom. The shutdown was just a precursor to what's going to be the reality for a lot of stuff because banks, a lot of stuff going to be obsolete. So the story rich is like in the 70s when the Knicks had all black team, they said the New York Knicker, and then you can fill in the how what they meant. There was a fear. There was a fear. They've limited a lot of stuff. They don't have no black ownership. Michael Jordan had to be a billionaire to get the ownership. And you mean to tell me they can have two races thrown out with Donald Sterling and Robert Saver in the last 10 years? They can't find black owners? They're no different than any other institution in America. But that's another story, another video, another day. They all racist. I mean, the ABA was not, don't get it twisted. They were an alternative to the NBA because they allowed more creativity. If you've noticed, the USFL was doing a lot of things that the NFL wasn't. The dances, the actions. The NFL is more rigid, more white, more corporate. The other leagues create their own atmosphere. They kind of do their thing. They take from that. The 3-point line was in the ABA. The NBA didn't like you dunking. College didn't. Let's remember Kareem was outlawed from dunking, all that. So there were things that they did. You know, the NFL was late with the 2-point conversion. NBA was behind the 8 ball. Stuff that they're doing now is because they're trying to manipulate the street of the and one. They're trying to create like they've been like that. They weren't always like that. Well, when you start making, well, you just have to. You can figure out a way to kind of keep distance yourself. You know, you got to figure a way how to think for yourself. You have to compartmentalize everything. He was. It was the New Jersey Generals. Doug Flutie was the quarterback. Herschel Walker was the running back. You remember Herschel Walker? Because him and Trump have been boozer buddies for 40 plus years. He tried to take on the NFL with winning games in the fall, and they told him, no, sir. He tried. He tried. Didn't work. And USFL was a very strong league, by the way. A lot of guys played there. Yep. Barry Sanders, not Barry Sanders, Billy Sims went there. There was a lot of guys who went there. My favorite team was the Philadelphia Stars. I used to like them. Chuck Fritz. And you remember a guy who said playoffs? Jim Moore was the coach. There were some guys who played in that league. They paid more money. They were entertaining. Remember the Houston Gamblers because I want to say Jerry Glanville was a coach. So they were exciting. Yeah, Steve Young went there with the LA Express. He sucked in the NFL. He went to Tampa Bay. He wasn't that good. He came after Doug Williams. He wasn't that good. He got his behind in USFL. Then the 49ers got him. Then he got mobile. A lot of people don't talk about that when we talk about Steve Young. I remember very well. Yeah, the USFL wasn't tripping like the NFL was as far as like the way they had their own agenda. And see, this goes to show that if you have the right product, you can take on the powers that be. That's like what happened with PGA golf. The Saudi team comes along. Tiger was like, "Oh, I don't want to sell out and all that." Them cats went over there. Phil Nicholson took his behind over there and cashed that check. They did all that. They made the NFL have to step the game up. That's why the NFL bought them out. They watch. It's called counterproductivity. You can do it. Yeah, there's money involved. Yeah. Boxing is known for. Yeah. I told you. We live in an era where clicks and views and streams, that's mafia related as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of rigging going on because people want to see certain results. That's why you have what you have. They have what you consider is all you can eat. Everybody's all in the same boat. Homogenized mediocrity. I remember that game very well because the Marx brothers were Marino was slinging that ball. He got that ball out of there quick. His quick release was too quick for what the Bears couldn't keep up. They couldn't keep up with his. Marino was something else, yo. His hands was quick, yo. I remember that game like yesterday. Beat that butt up. Yeah. He always had a Ringham environment, Bailey, um, people were theatrical. Yeah, that's what it was like. XFL was all right. It had some moments to it. It had a He Hate Me made the NFL. There were a few guys who made it. They all every 20 so years there comes along with another league. There was the WFL. And of course, the Canadian Football League was big too, because I remember Larry Zonka and them guys went to the Canadian Football League. So we went to the Canadian Football League. There's always been leagues to play for. The NFL ain't been the end all be all. They the end all be all as far as cash and in your notoriety, but they're not the end all be all. Cats always go overseas or play somewhere. So don't act like it's just one size fits all. They already have. That's what happens when you have um these channels, you know. First of all, with social media, when you have a YouTube and you have places where people can congregate, you are taking on the positive. That's why you got news people over here now. That's why you got the Don Lemons and CNN and Stephen A and the sports and all that trying to come over here, because the days of that corporate establishment are done. CNN, C-SPAN, Fox, they're all coming over because people want instantaneous and they're looking for something that they want, something they can relate to. Media days is played, yo. That's why a guy like Lamar Jackson's got a job. But I will tell you a story. If Lamar Jackson played in any other era, he'd have been made into a running back or a flank or a receiver. I'm gonna keep that 100 with you, okay? Just like J.C. Watts, I saw in the late 80s, 70s, 80s. They would have done that to all of them until you get to about the last 15 years. Oh, the bigger train was obviously, that's a great question too. The bigger train hype though had to be Manziel. But tell you why, because Money Manziel had everybody on board. Tebow played for a great team, great system, and a coach. But Manziel, the money man, the hype was big. Tebow did do good in the NFL, considering he was limited. But the Manziel thing was huge, yo. He was huge because they cloned Baker Mayfield after him. They was looking at Manziel like he was gonna change the course of football. They didn't say that about Tebow. If I got offered, I'd have to be offered. I appreciate what you're saying. I'd have to be offered. I have to have terms and conditions where people would pay. If I had someone who wanted to sponsor that and put that forth and it was in legit constants, I would consider that. But I come on here and people want to donate to the channel or what have you, feel free, etc., as I always do. But I will speak on different things. Manziel was fun. He was fun. He had a lot of energy. He was the one because Tebow was playing with Florida. Florida already had, you know, yeah, he was. Clowning. Come on now. That one hit against Michigan. Come on now. He lived off that one hit. That one hit bought him a 10-year career. Am I lying or what? I had to hear about it being a Wolverine fan. That's why you mentioned it too. Shu actually could play. He just did some cheap, inexplicable stuff like stepping on your hand after you tackle. He did some punk stuff. But clowning, that one hit bought him. Clowney lived off of that tackle for like, come on now. That was his Jeremy Lin moment, if you will. Had that out of body. See, I remember when the Seahawks got him, and he been away. He played for like 10 teams, and they still waiting for that hit to come back too. Yeah, he won with Tampa Bay, and Shu is well, he had more of a career, but Clowney had more of the hype. Um, just like any other teenager, pretty much. Except I had a different kind of life though. I had to deal with some adult situations, but I was liking the same stuff that most teenagers were liking at the time, but just trying to find myself. And that's a reality. Being young, black, and trying to find things and also going through a lot of things. So it was real. Life was tough. It's had its challenges, peer pressures, etc. The difference is if you're a teenager coming up now, a young adult coming up now, you got this high with this internet and people bullying you and cloud chasing and keyboard gangsters and people got you got all kinds of stuff to deal with. It's a different era. I'm not gonna tell nobody it's the same because dating is tough these days. People's relationships is tough these days. People be on trying to air you and do stuff. Chase Young was he was Andrew Luck because he was seen as the next coming of Peyton Manning because he replaced Peyton Manning. Trevor was good and had hype, but come on now, you're coming behind Peyton Manning. You have no expectations when you go to Jacksonville. I'm just sorry. It's tough no matter what era in different ways. They still the hunted and they're still the prey. Nothing has changed. Nothing's changed. Um, you come into the world with two strikes against you. You black, and you're a man. And you got to figure out in between to make it work. And you got to figure out how to juggle things and be a law-abiding citizen and keep the heat off of you without, but you still got all the politics against you. That's the reality. Luck did have a nice deep ball, and he came up bigger in that Kansas City game. That's when before Andy Reid became smarter, he came up big. But injuries and him trying to throw a lot of them stick needle through the hole in passes derailed his career, and he got hurt. And he was never the same after the flat ball, flat gate. He messed his mouth up by opening his mouth because after that, he the one that went flat. I remember that game because I was at a Costco and I couldn't believe my eyes how they came back on Kansas City. That's when Andy Reid was known for choking away and gagging. He got fortunate though. Culpepper was nice. He had a nice deep ball. I just don't think he was a consistent quarterback for a long period of time. That's the only thing that hurt him. Had a nice arm in that really good situation, but when he fell off, he fell off. He was good though, you know. Cunningham is the woulda, coulda, shoulda. He's the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yep. You see different quarterbacks, but again, it depends on again attitude, adjustments, where you are, what you're doing. It's a lot of factors involved. It's tough to just say one thing or the other. He was probably as tough as any quarterback I ever seen. His arm strength was good, but his will to make it happen was greater. You didn't outwork him. Don McNabb is one of those guys that um, he worked himself into a very good quarterback. And had he won or had because they really wanted him, they really had a big pull for him. It just he kind of did his own self in. He made himself into a legit quarterback though. But then it kind of like, okay, what you gonna do next? And that just well, you rise to the top based on your attitude, but you can't expect anybody to give you nothing. You have to make it happen. There is there's pros and cons to all of it. But America itself is multiracial. They just don't admit it because everybody got a white cousin that's black in America. It's just that you don't get to claim it. Now, what you do in between time is how you make it. Michael Vick was one of the most naturally talented quarterbacks I've ever seen. He just never had the right talent and he didn't have the right mental speed to go along. Had he had all those things compartmentalized, we may be talking about him like we talk about Patrick Mahomes. Think about it. I remember he just didn't. And again, Brett Favre, great and overrated. Great career, but overrated. He made a lot of what he had, but then he also kind of, he's one of those guys that as high as he was, as low as he was. And he was erratic, but he got that ring. He did actually better than the second Super Bowl that they lost to Denver, but he was an erratic cat. He made himself into a great player, but and he had moments, but he was hit and miss though. Well, Deshaun, because he could get deep. That's what it was, But he ain't, but his speed was something else. He just so happens that he was on a lot of highlight reels. Sometimes if you watch about 10 highlight reels and you see a guy about 5 or 6 times, you might tend to think they're the end all be all when they're not. Bledsoe was very poised. He was what I call him a really good to almost very good quarterback. Not great though. But he had moments though. He was the typical for his height and his size. Polarizing is what I would say. Because you either love me or you loathe me. That's the way I think it should be. I don't want to be one of them people that you say I take some of your takes because it's about respect. And it's about the fact that I can respect what you're about. I don't have to agree with you, but I can respect you. You could call me controversial. I ain't no problem with that. I'm not gonna say what you want me to say to hear what you say. I don't do clicks and baits and stuff. I welcome people to shine up, but I'm not one of those kind of people that go out of my way to politic. I don't like it. So you have to stand for something or go for anything. Hasselback made himself into a good quarterback. He was slightly better than average. But I got in the 2 to 2.5 tier. He did better. He got a lot more out of him. Sure, more than his whack brother though. But his brother got all the TV career. Well, I appreciate that, but I am a thinking person. I don't. I like to think. I think that's the problem. You have to use your noggin. There's nothing wrong with being intellectually stimulated. There's nothing wrong with giving yourself a mindset to ask questions, to be about stuff. Like that's what's missing. Stop letting computers and AI draw your script and sample everything. Create. That's what I say. No, no. He wasn't a coach on the floor when he won a championship. No. Um, if I was to use a guy, even though he didn't do it but for one season, I'd say Jerry West because he put the team together and he was player coach. But no one's touching what Bill Russell did. No one. There is no second after that. That guy did the thing. And you forgot about Lenny Wilkins. Lenny Wilkins, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because that's the most important non-presidential, non-politician figure that changed the course of the United States that was able to walk and be a grassroots person. And I'm in awe of that guy. And for that, to give up your life to sacrifice to do what you did. I had the fortune to be in the building where in Memphis, but he still resonates like so few ever in the history. He was one of a kind. He's the first person that comes to mind if I had to pick from that and from a human perspective, because he was a standard. Yeah, Lenny Wilkins, Rich. If I don't say Jerry West, I'll say Lenny Wilkins. Best player coach ever will be Lenny Wilkins because he did win. No one talks about Lenny Wilkins. Was a great player, one of the 50 greatest players, and one of the greatest head coaches ever. They never talk about Lenny. You get treated like Tim Duncan does. They were both streetwise. Don't let MLK's so-called passive aggression fool you. He was hip to what was going on. Malcolm learned the ins and outs of both sides, but Dr. King had been on both sides. You weren't allowed to be compartmentalist back then as a black man when they had tapes and monitoring what you were saying and what you were doing. It's just that their approach was different, but they both were as hip. He's considered one of the 50 greatest players ever. Now, was he Larry Bird level? That doesn't mean he wasn't considered. When you're considered one of the 50 greatest players ever, I think you need to understand what I'm saying. You asked the question, I'm answering it. The man won. Lenny Wilkens won a championship, went to back-to-back finals, lost to the Washington Bullets, and beat the Bullets to win a chip for the Seattle Supersonics in 1979. Yeah. Lenny Wilkens would fit my criteria. He was at one time the winningest NBA head coach, too, by the way. He gets no juice. I'm just keeping it 100. You ask a question, you don't like my answer, say you don't like my answer. But you can't really get into an argument with me when you really ain't studied the part about what Lenny Wilkens accomplished. Casey Jones was bad. Underrated, too. But the reason why I go with Lenny Wilkens more is because not only was he a great point guard in whatever he did you hear what I said about Lenny Wilkens? Back-to-back finals. Did you know who he went against in those finals? Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes. Bobby Dandridge wasn't nothing to sneeze at. Kevin Greavy was a good player. But did you hear what I said about, and Dick Motter was the coach, but did you hear who I mentioned the front of Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes? I know what Bird did. Bird, they lost to the Knicks. Larry Johnson hit that 4-point play, I remember. I love Larry Bird. You're not getting no argument from that, but you asked me who I thought did it, and no one ever. And that was a skip. You didn't mention the 99 year. Larry Johnson wasn't on that list. Grandmama hit that 4-point play. You ain't mentioned that one in 99 strike year. They should have beat Jordan. They should have beat Jordan and Pippen. They didn't finish it up. They did pretty good against the Lakers. They did do pretty good against the Lakers. But Lenny Wilkens went against Unsold, and it was a lot. I'm just saying. You have to learn how to love. That's what you do better. You got to stop being materialistic. You got to appreciate people. Ask more of your leaders. Ask more why you have homelessness in the richest country in the world, why you accept racism, why you accept separatism, why you accept um, this the fraudulence of superiority, why you don't have morals, why you take privilege over principles. So I'll say this about Jokic. There's truth to that, but he kinda doesn't have any he kinda has to do that. They don't do nothing consistent. They don't play no defense. I don't know what Mike Malone's doing as a coach. Jamal Murray, I wanna make him as one of the 15 best players, but then he has a tendency to and I like Russell Westbrook there, and, Aaron Gordon is streaky, Michael Porter they just a streaky team. They're frustrating because if he had somebody with him he wouldn't have to be like that. And I like Jokic a lot, but that team just doesn't play defense. They're not consistent. I just think though, if I was changing anything, just but learn to understand about giving even more. Understand that it's a bigger picture than my shadow and my presence. That's all. You can never do that enough. Yeah, I did a video about the Rockets. Jalen Green is for those who only look at Ant Edwards as the end all be all as far as the young under 25 players with athleticism. But yeah, I like the Rockets. Did you see Dylan Brooks? Saw it last night, and Dylan got chippy, but Udoka got them boys playing. They beat OKC. That would be a Western Conference Finals I'd like to see. I like that. You know how I feel about Shea. So I think I like that. And I think a lot of Udoka. The Rockets, I'm telling you, that's a squad. Dylan gets at you. Yeah, if he shot 50% from the free throw line, he'd be averaging about 60 points. I mean, he was, you know, that's just the fact. Because he was freaky. But they weren't that deep as a team. They were kinda Kobe came up big, Glenn Rice was alright. They were kinda spotted 'em. Tofu. I'm a vegetarian vegan. So I like black rice. I like a lot of vegetables. Peanut butter and jelly is still probably my favorite sandwich, if you must know. Um, love tofurkey. Again, my diet is a reflection of where I'm at. I like more vegetables. I don't mess with meat. And I like oatmeal a lot. I don't really like the truth is I'm not really into a whole lot of food these days because I just think that it's just not that good. And I think there's too much junk. So it's mind, spiritual, and the soul, if I can put it like that. But you got to find yourself to get to that point. Exercise, relaxation, get your rest, keep your humor up, keep your stress down. That's what I would say. Hmm. I ain't into a lot of food though. Food don't hit me like it used to. If I changed one thing, I probably would have been vegan, vegetarian all my life. I did try it and did 3 different intervals and I passed it. It was. I had a buddy of mine who thought he should have had more triple doubles. Shaq could throw out of a double team. Um, he was. He was smarter than he got credit for. He knew how to put his feet in the zone. He was smarter than he got credit for. You can't dominate and be like that and not. So if you either have a big breakfast or you have a big meal or dinner, but fasting, meditation, drinking a lot of water, it's a lot of things. Yeah, yeah, you're a comedian. Yeah, it's called a beef. It's it's not called a boca burger. So yes. Funny man. We cool, Rich, though. It's all good. We just had a different opinion about Lenny Wilkins. That's all. It's all good, though. It's all good. And look, like I said, Larry Bird might be in my top 5 ever. But Lenny Wilkins was one of the 50 greatest players and a head coach. And what he did with Gus Williams and Dennis Johnson and downtown Fred Brown, Jack Sigma, Joe Johnson, and those John Johnson and those guys was hecka impressive. Because well, musically, I listen to all over the place. But if I had to go to one style, it'd probably be R&B because it encompasses everything. R&B music is jazz, it is hip hop, it is country, it is blues, it is gospel. No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I'm going to say the pick and roll. You would think the corner three, but the pick and roll cats get drawn. That's why you got open territory with bigs coming up to the four-free Poirier. Bigs don't get to play down in the box no more. They gotta jump to the pick and roll. And see, pick and roll is just drawing people in because now you got to come out with a big shooting a three. Anthony Davis shoots a three, your big's got to come out. It's the shortest, but you got to be accurate with it. But it's not going to really make or break your game. Guys who can shoot that thing from any spot. Best movie I ever seen? I probably say The Godfather for me. That's one of them because there's so much to digest with that that implies to a lot of stuff. That's one of them. One of them. I had quite a few movies that I like, but that's one of them. Yeah, but if corner three was so all that, then Bruce Bowen would have averaged like 27 points, and he didn't. That's all he did when he makes shots. He step on your toe on the defensive side, and he make that corner three on the other side. But he wasn't asked to sit there all day and camp and shoot 10 threes a game. Because if he's 50%, he has 15, 20 points. When he comes out and says stuff like that, what's his point? Because the point is that is he a better player than Steph Curry? Yeah, you can beat him in a 3-point contest. That don't mean you're a better player. That's the difference. I don't even want to even entertain the new All-Star game format. I'm not watching that garbage. I watch the low lights of it. People back in the day spent more time with actually working out films. They actually make more things more complex. So today you either got a lot of AI or computer generated or anime, or you got too much vulgarity. They don't even write out character scripts no more. That's why these films come and go, and these films are so shortchanged people. It's the lack of originality shows. Let's just say that. Battier hit some big threes, so did Mike Miller, but that's not why they won. They weren't really dependent on the three like that though. I don't care about that. I'm not watching that mess. I ain't watching that mess. I don't want to watch anything that Adam Silver's productions. Okay. It's just enough to tolerate the NBA. The only thing I like about the cup thing is the way the courts look. It's embarrassing. Battier was nice. Battier was nice. What I would do to fix the All-Star game? That's easy. I would go look for guys who were not necessarily all-stars and give them a chance to shine. Well, you gotta hit them with money, but what you gotta do, I did a video about that about Bird, but what you gotta do, you gotta really pick guys who deserve to be on the all-star team, not because they're perennial favorites or it's a popularity contest. Gotta give guys a chance. We wanna see LaMelo Ball getting a chance to be an all-star. Jalen Green should get an opportunity. I wanna see some new faces out there. Shea Alexander should get a chance to showcase as an MVP in an all-star game. We need to have that. We need to have that. They're told to see the very elite. That's not what the fans necessarily want. That's what Adam Silver and the concoction is pushing. They're pushing agendas. They're not watching now. Have you seen the ratings? They're not watching now. I don't even think about that. I just like to see like the guys who don't get a chance that get voted in to get a chance to shine. That's what I think you need. You need some fresh. You need something where the guys that you know them, but they don't really get a lot of fanfare to emerge. Like a De'Aaron Fox, if he could come up big in an All-Star game, I would love that. I think it's just too predictable and it feels too contrived now. I had a love and loathe relationship with Stern. I love the fact that he could actually get the games on regular TV, not tape delay, and that he actually could say that, hey, black players matter, and we can get you out here and you can be showcased. I didn't like his politics though, because he was all about the big markets and the names and politicking with the refs and all that. So I told you I was dual with him, but he cleaned up a lot of the NBA though. You still have cult classic films, but the problem is that a lot of films are cut kind of similar. They don't allow a lot of visual. Films have to create their own lane. That's like when you watch, for instance, if you watch a movie like Scarface or The Shawshank Redemption, they become classics because the people made it, not because of the studios. Studios tell you something, by default, it's MLB only because they speed up the game, but it's still the same politics though. But by default, like I get baseball, they did come up big in the postseason this year by default, but that's not saying much though. I can't stand Roger Goodell and I can't stand Adam Silver, and I don't like the baseball commissioner. But of the three, I think he's a little bit more tolerable of the three, barely. I don't like none of them. Hockey, it for me, it's one of those sports that still hasn't done enough to bring more black folks over. So I don't really mess with hockey too much. I watch it. I kind of root for the Sabres, and I'm aware of a couple people, but I'm not the biggest hockey fan. You don't have well, cult classics is eventually a movie that gets built up with people buying it and liking it. That's over time. That's what the people make. Like the people made Scarface into a cult classic. It wasn't big. Had to rank these teams from best to worst. I'd say the um in that order. That 72 Lakers team won all those games. They were incredible. That 83 Sixers team was one of the greatest one season teams I ever seen. That 86 front court Celtics was in that order. You did it from best to worst. That's what I would say in that order. No, you can't keep it out of sports because they put them on logos in the NFL stadiums. They're making Colin Kaepernick look more relevant than ever because they know that they can't just say "end racism" now with a logo. It's not how it's going to work. They can't stop it because they don't have black ownership. But you do, yeah, you nailed it, Rich. I'm not even going to argue with that. Oh, I can back it up with the 30 plus. The Lakers team was great. That Sixer had one of the greatest one year wonder team, the Celtics front court. But if I was ranking them, that's how I would. Exactly. You nailed it. Um, when you baseball is missing more black players, no ownership, and none of the major sports network, I'm talking about control. I'm not talking about a token Magic Johnson or somebody like Jordan. I'm talking about where they have totality. Billions of dollars being generated with yes, police brutality, racism, institutionalized, general managers, yes. So you have to keep it. It's part of it because that's almost like saying that you're just we're going to paint the brush this year and we're going to act like it ain't real. Well, cats go to work. They got to come out the building like Tyreek Hill. That's what's up. To an extent, it's uncomfortable if they're thriving, but it's not uncomfortable because they're still playing for the franchise. Let me say this. Yes, they may not like them as the leaders and so on and so forth. And then we start having these all-time polls of questions. But it'll only be a problem if you win with the coach dynamic. Imagine if Mike Tomlin wins a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson. That's when you get uncomfortable. Yeah, well, he's heard things. He's seen things. They have to go with the athleticism. And most of the white quarterbacks don't run like the black quarterbacks do. They're again, you're seeing things, but it's nothing new. It's nothing new. That's your personal opinion. But see, Chris Paul suffers from the same disease as James Harding and the same disease as who do we talk about up above that I said? LaDainian Thomason. Regular season, Chris Paul is one of the best talents. Postseason, he's MIA. What does a high IQ mean if you don't win nothing though? It's nothing new. It's always been around. There's been some kind of amphetamines. People been taking some kind of supplements forever. Nothing new. I saw a player by the name of Lyle Alzado shrivel up into a pinky when he died. They've always taken juice and stuff in sports. He never won, but he got further than Chris Paul. He got to two finals. Chris Paul won two games in the finals, but Chris Paul did not do anything in the finals. Stockton's case. Stockton was a more fundamentally sound player than Chris Paul, to me. He was more poised. Chris Paul's out there cashing checks. Chris Paul, to me, should have retired about 4 or 5 years ago. He didn't fit with Golden State. He's okay with, he did. But he was big enough in that series that he had a couple integral plays in that series, which he did. He did have his moment in that series, you know. I mean, still one of the greatest point guards I've ever seen. And he did have a high IQ. I take his IQ over Chris Paul's any day because he could beat you with scoring 2 points. He had that unique ability. Chris Paul got to score 10, 15 points. He really wasn't that good as far as if he don't score points and do other things, he could beat you with scoring two or less points because he could give you rebounds, he could give you assists, he could give you transition. Chris Paul didn't have that. And I seen Chris Paul flop more in the postseason. Bad, badly. That's why I can't have Chris Paul in my top 5 or 6 when I talk about greatest point guards. Victor Wemby's changing life for the Spurs. He's fitting in good, but they're playing smart basketball. Yeah, they were because they got the 2 finals. Now you might laugh at them getting beat by the Lakers and the Spurs, but no one, the Nets were a clown factor. I don't know about all that. Boxing is tough because you got to fundamentally depend on yourself. Uh, but I don't think it's the actual tougher sport, actual skill. I think golf is. Golf can humble you because you can be bad, but you can be brutal. You can be great or bad. Yeah, well, I do think that's what they because Cooper Flack, I've been watching. Duke's getting all that love, and he played for Duke. So he comes out and gets drafted pretty high. Watch out. You'll see. And he's only about a couple years younger than her. So don't act like they don't wouldn't put that there and make them like the new Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson. Tell you. I could see the writing on the wall. He hanging on the rim. They said, "Ooh, we've never seen anything like him." Cause you remember that white cat that won the slam dunk contest for the Sixers? That cat been in the G League for 30 years, and they always got him for the dunk contest. There you go. Boxing is tough in terms of the physicality because there's so much that happens and all that. But golf is a physical skill. She do kind of remind me of him. You think Tiger Woods wasn't physically fit? What he went through? 'Cause he used to work out with the Avatar. When he got down, he would go to the he go to the Marine. He worked out. He made everybody step their game up as a golfer. That is a physical skill to hit that ball and what he did. Now, boxing is more physically demanding on your body, but golf, Tiger Woods made that thing into a sport. Okay. I mean, he wasn't just sitting in that cart. He was for real. He changed the course. Yeah, I kind of felt that, especially if she tied her hair up on a ponytail. I could see that flex with that bikini on, and yeah, I don't really try to talk about her though. Well, yeah, I thought about how they romanticize her. I mean, she's good for business. Ice Cube was talking about that because Ice Cube was asked in the interview, he really want her to be part of his big three. And I said, yeah, you make a lot of money with her. Well, I just got through roasting Jennifer Lopez, so there you go. No, it's cool. I ain't got no problem with it. I ain't got no problem with it. None at all. I ain't taking it that personal. But I was just asking the question above about Tiger Woods. Just saying golf is pretty physical. They all sports are physically demanding. Boxing because of the mechanics that you can live or die, but you can say the same thing in football too. But golf has a way of humbling you because man, you got to be so accurate, so meticulous, so driven. And it's a very humbling sport, an expensive sport too. Tennis can be too. So okay, so what we got? We're talking nonstop. 60% say you cool with Joe. 60% say no, they're not cool with Joe Biden. Of course, I'm cool with it because again, that's his son. I ain't got no problem with Joey B. She had a face. She had a cute face. She's an attractive woman. Just got bought and paid for. That's all. But that's how the industry works, though. I don't like banning nothing because if you start banning stuff, you're in dictatorship. Religious issues, people been telling you what to think forever and a day. That's what separates and divides people on Sunday. It's the most divisive. You go to any church in America or in the world, Sunday is the most divisive place you can imagine. But everyone's trying to get to the same thing, no matter what you're calling it. I have no problem with commercial doing with it. I just think that they just got to acknowledge everybody. Yeah, Lopez is an attractive woman. She just don't have much types of talent. But again, that ain't never stopped no one before. But you can tell that she's in the right industry. You know, she's had a 30-plus year career and she done made it work for her. But that's how the industry is, and it's only for a certain amount of people. Mhm. There's always those people that get through. So she's no different than a lot of them. You know. It's a cold, tough business. It ain't cut for everybody. So there's talent in everything you do. Okay. I got 9 more minutes on here because I'll be on 5.5, and I might come back later. How you feel about real what you know? The person, he seems like he could be, I don't want to say on the spectrum, but he seems like he's all over the place. He's got uh some issues like a lot of people do. He's see the thing about it, he's charismatic, but there's a dark side to him. That's what I pick up. And he's had to conform and sell a lot of his soul. Favorite movie? I like his first one, 6 Degrees of Separation. And I liked him in King. I think that when he did more serious roles or introspective, I like those the best. There's a lot of them. A lot. I listen to one of my favorite eras of hip hop. That's kind of loaded. Well, again, that's what I just got through saying above. He's allowed himself to be bought and sold. Well, people do stuff in relationships, and that's part of what he's about. I know they've been separated for like about almost 10 years, but again, I'm not. And that industry brings some strange things. We could be sitting here all night talking about the strangeness of the industry. If you're going by that as a standard, then you're gonna get your feelings hurt. That's not that's not the norm. That industry is kind of strange anyway by nature. 58% says they're not cool with Joe. 12 then came up now. Okay. Getting more votes coming in. This is good. Yeah, I mean that Will is I pick up some dark energy. I like Will as a person. I think Will is a talent. I like his talent. I personally, business is business. Yep. Your wife sitting up at nighttime with a Tupac fold out poster on the bedside, you ain't gonna never win. And that's just not how but again, that's what he signed up for, you know. And again, that industry's got some twisted things goes along with it. So yeah, I did my video about it last night. I mean, I remember that's kind of what Walter Payton was trying to downplay what he was going through, and people were making all kinds of jokes. Yeah, Randy Moss. So I don't never take anyone's conditions light. Great question. The sport that I think that has gone backwards compared to past athletes, I would say it has to be the NBA because this is not basketball. And everybody ain't cut out to be a three-point shooter. Everybody ain't cut out to be, it's just and when you get a guy like Rudy Gobert that's got four-time defensive player of the year, and you say that puts that with Dwight Howard or put that with Ben Wallace or you with Rodman, I sniggle. That's the NBA has gone back. They're trying to sell something that it's a joke. They're trying to make it look like everybody's better now than the past. Now, see in baseball, all records are meant to be broken. But the thing about it is if you're good, you usually see who comes out. I have no problem with Shohei Ohtani in baseball. He's legit. Patrick Mahomes of football. I can't argue that because the game is a lot is gone like that, but his athleticism. But the NBA, everybody ain't no three-point shooter. They trying to make everybody look like it's one and it's not. So here's some eye issue. That's what happened. And you have to read it for yourself, condition. But people trying to say that this is that or this is that, you know. Eyes are I did a video about it. If you go to get your eyes checked today, they have ways to ray into your eyes to check for a lot of your health issues. I had this happen at Walmart. I don't feel like watching more NBA today. Actually, watching highlight clips tells me all I need to know. There's too many three-point shooters, too many layups, few defensive plays, but it's not gotten better. It's garbage to me. But that's Adam Silver's NBA. That's what he wants. He wants it to be more pro scoring. That's what you got. Teams don't really have identity. We stick five guards on a team and everybody has to shoot. Well, and that's what you get. I can appreciate a guy like Steph Curry because he generally changed the game and he actually added to his game and his repertoire and he got better. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate when I see guys doing that, but everybody ain't Steph Curry. Soccer's always been big. It just don't hit in America. The women's soccer's been gangster. The men's, they've been trying. Well, it's a very athletic sport. You have to have endurance. You have to be good. I have no problem with it. It just ain't big in the States. That's all. It's a different method. It just ain't never clicked with the States. That's all. You get out and you go somewhere different countries and places, you'll see it's big time. So I have no problem with it. Well, I'm gonna be on here for another few more minutes. I'll probably be on about a couple hours. It depends on how far I go. So it'll probably be like I'm gonna talk for another 5 minutes before I go. So I'll be on for another 6 minutes here, and then I'll probably come back and probably about a couple hours after that. I ain't gonna be out that long. But if you got another question, feel free. No, my thing is simple about the soccer leagues. I mean, soccer's always been big. It's just it just didn't hit the states though. Yeah, and again, but see, people don't want to speculate. That's why Chadwick Boseman, when he was dealing with his prostate, he didn't, you know, because people are so quick to, and he worked through it. but they don't let you just. Everybody got somebody gonna try to make it out worse than what you are, or don't take the need to be humbling. Yeah, I'm gonna take Randy Moss at his word. So, but there's so many people that are so quick to be judge and jury. Hmm. So let me look at this thing. I'll be on for 10 more minutes. I got 10 more minutes on here. So let's do 10 more minutes. I got 10 more minutes. 10 more. 10 more. Life inspires me. The Lord gives me a chance to be blessed to see another day. It's a gift. So that's what inspires me. That's what inspires me because I get to see it in totality, stuff that I couldn't imagine. Sometimes you just have to have things happen before your eyes to be in awe. So I'm inspired by that. It's nothing in particular. Just take one day at a time. Be thankful. Don't take it for granted. And make sure that you give someone a chance to shine. Humble yourself, give it to somebody. Say hello to somebody, be respectful of somebody, be courteous and polite, you know. Meeting people like yourself, people that intellectually have conversations that can stimulate and you got a good rapport, not dealing with the trolls, um, and learning. That's what it's about. Learning, having conversation, and just having vibe. I encompass all that. I don't preach to you, but I tell you that you have to find something that makes sense. You have to believe in something or you go for anything. Spiritual, love and water. Those are essential. And the things that you say, your thoughts play a big part. When you rid yourself of certain things, you can listen and watch certain things, but when you rid yourself of certain things, things hit you differently. You watch your tongue. You speak your mind and you speak your piece, but you watch how you kind of put certain things out there. That's the key. That's the key. Music was the first sports back in the day. I say music probably because music is something you can't touch. And someone can play. I think Carlos Santana said it best. He said he plays a guitar. He said he can't touch a woman like that guitar. Music has a way of just bringing all kinds of emotions. Um, Sports would be next. Politics I can't stand, but it's part of everything that you do. It's probably the most essential one of the three, but I can't stand it because people. That's how they look. Yeah, I'll probably be on. If I come back on, I'll probably be in a couple hours because I'm gonna go out. But I'm still gonna be on for another 7 minutes before I conclude this one. But I'll probably come on about hour and a half to two. I don't mind if you got good questions and if we can feed off each other. I ain't got no problem with that. You know, it's all good. I just don't like dealing with trolls and people that wasting my time because I won't waste your time. Believe me, if I go to someone's spot stuff, I'm not gonna say nothing stupid off the wall. Get my questions and I'll be ready. And that's how I like it. So, but that's what moves me more: music, sports, politics. Unfortunately, isn't part of all of it, though. You can't avoid it. You know, you can't avoid it because people do compartmentalize stuff, and it's you can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. If you stand for something, if you don't stand for nothing, you're gonna act like it don't exist. 54% saying no. So it's kind of close. The Joe Biden thing. It's pretty close. Because he had to defer to playing with Michael Jordan, and plus his body wasn't the same as it was. But if you were familiar with him in the Clippers era, he could jump almost like Jordan. He had spring in his trunks. He had came down quite considerably, I think with Cleveland. He had came down considerably from Clippers Cleveland, but he came Chicago. And he became more of a specialist. That's why. He actually fit in good off the bench. I think he was a great fill in off the bench because his style didn't work, but he was able to be a second teamer and he made himself into a great specialist off the bench. There was no shame in that. You know what they say, if you can't beat him, join him. And he wasn't going to replace Jordan, but he had spring in him. He had hops. Those who remember, Ron Harper could get up, and he was mentally tough. That's why Phil Jackson kept him along and brought him to LA, and he got some ring, couple rings there. So he just didn't have the bot to win spree as a starter. He was spent, you know. But I don't think he fell off. His body got hurt, but he was still good enough to do what he did. Then he thought some of them that brought him to Chicago. Think about it. That was a compliment. Phil Jackson was smart. Bulls management was smart, and he fit in really well. Okay, we got a couple 3 more minutes. So if anybody got anything else to say, feel free. Come on through. I'll give it 3 more minutes. Um, rim protector, those three. Well, they didn't keep stats when Wilt did it, so it's really gonna be, we'll never know. Probably Matumbo because Olajuwon blocked you like straight up, but Matumbo, it felt like if you got on Matumbo, you did something. I'd have to say that you feel like you'd accomplished something with him, so probably him by default because they didn't keep stats when Wilt did it. If they did, Bill Russell would be in that argument too. So that's a hard one. And Elijah was talented on the perimeter, but I mean Hakeem was, but Matumbo, that was a whole show to what he did. Okay. So yeah, if no one's coming back, it looks like pretty much no one's coming back. Like everybody kind of dip. So I will probably get on out of here. Um, they have to fundamentally run the ball. They can't play cute. James Cook has to be big against them. They can hang with them, but to beat them, you have to play 4 quarters of football. I tell that again. It's 60 minutes of football when you play Kansas City. I mean that. Not 59, 59, not 59, 58, 59, 57. 60 minutes of football. If you don't play them for every minute, you're going to lose. They showing that more times than they can tell you. And I got a feeling they will be a better team. They'll either be better or they get blowed out in the playoffs. That's all I got to say about Kansas City. You're gonna see one or two of them show up. They'll either be scary or they'll be soft. But being 11-1 with what they've done, there is cause for concern because they don't lose that often. And when a team knows how to win by any means, you got to play your absolute best. So the Bills have to step it up a whole nother level. And they really didn't do that in the last game because it was a bad pick by Josh. Fortunate they had enough to beat them. You got to play 4 quarters against Kansas City. You can outplay them, but they can still find a way to win. Mahomes knows too many tricks of the trade. So 4 quarters, 4 quarters. How can they be the weakest when they're 11-1? It's hard to win third ring, and if they don't do it this year, they would do it next year. I tell you that. Oh, they will get another ring. He will get his fourth. He may not do it this year, but he'll definitely get it. You're not gonna keep a guy like that out of it. He's too driven. He's got that look that he's gonna make it happen. So, but they're not. Again, if they do it, he's the goat. He does it. He's the goat quarterback. Andy Reid, top two head coach ever. It's just that simple. Because then you got Andy Reid with 3P with 4 rings and 5 trips, 6 trips. That's Chuck No. That's better than no. That's better than that. Yeah. To do it the way they do it. And you consider they don't even have a dominant running back. And you look at what they've done, they don't really even have a dominant receiver. And that would be 3 without Tyreek Hill. Who Tyreek Hill today, tomorrow, stat pads will be considered one of the 10 greatest receivers probably when his career is over. But to win 2 or so more without him and your peak and your prime, and he never got back to where he was, is a heck of a statement. So that would be a huge accomplishment on so many levels. And Mahomes and Reed would be the greatest head coach and quarterback in the history. He didn't have as much talent as he got in Kansas City. He didn't have a Patrick Mahomes. See, you can hold the West, you can throw all the other names. Donovan McNabb is nowhere near Patrick Mahomes' level. Sorry. Jeff Garcia, they don't have the quarterback. You have to have great talent at your main position to win. Gots to have top tier. McNabb, even if he had won a ring, wouldn't be considered. He'd be like in the Doug Williams boat. He wouldn't be in the Warren Moon boat. And then when you say that, right, you got to understand how great Mahomes is. Mahomes has been a league MVP multiple times. So that's the it. Mahomes made him into a household name. Wasn't that dude. There's the difference. So T.O. was great for 1 year, and what else? What else? Because that short lived. I like Westbrook. I like their defense. They didn't have a Patrick Mahomes. You need a great quarterback to win. When we looking at the great coaches, they've usually had a great quarterback, except for Joe Gibbs. But does Joe Gibbs ever get discussed amongst the greatest NFL coaches ever in the top tier echelons with Don Shula, Bill Walsh, and Tom Landry? Nope. or Belichick? Nope. Chuck Noll doesn't get mentioned like that either because Terry Bradshaw ain't considered one of the greatest quarterbacks. Jimmy Johnson had a won another ring with Dan Marino, he would have been. Bill Walsh does because of Joe Montana. Tom Landry did because he had Roger Staubach. No, because Russell Wilson got a ring and he's been to two Super Bowls. McNabb went to one Super Bowl, but Russell Wilson was a borderline MVP, won a lot of games. No, he's not. Not to me, he's not. You can put that cold, ask that question out there in the general streets and see what they tell you. Russell's going to get more love. Russell is playing at a top tier level right now. What did McNabb do when he left Philadelphia and went to Washington? You don't even remember, but you remember when RG3 played. The Cowboys don't have the right coach. They don't have any leadership. They don't have a quarterback they can trust. And Jerry Jones is meddling, and he not war is welcome. And they don't have any people that can actually say anything because they got a bunch of yes people. So they're overpriced, overrated, oversaturated with talent that doesn't fit. That's what's wrong with them. And they'd be better off if they did a tank job than try to play because it's embarrassing. No one respects what they've got. And they don't have a leader. No one stands out on that team. Michael Parsons doesn't. He's talented, but he don't stand out. He's not that leader. Dak Prescott's got some talent, but he's not that leader, and he's getting long in the tooth. Um, um, uh, di- uh, CeeDee Lamb, talented receiver, but he ain't that dude. They don't have anything, and they don't respect their head coach. And Jerry Jones is messed up. And that should tell you about what they thought they had. They were so cheap that they went and got Zeke. And Zeke, they cut him, and Zeke's been played out for about 4 years. So why would you go get someone you got rid of who went to a whack team and then bring him back? And he's been a wash for like 4 years. That right there showed you that they were not exactly in the right trajectory. Tony Pollard is the better fit, and he's doing okay with Tennessee, but they don't make no sense. So that's why they where they are. That's exactly why they're where they are. And I know the Cowboys gonna get some people like think they make a nice little run, win a couple games. They might beat Cincinnati, they might not, but they're not a good team. They're not a good team at all. So, but anyway, that's what the Cowboys are. So don't believe the hype. Don't get yourself caught up in all that mess. They are not going to do anything, and they gotta make a lot of changes. So 53%. Okay, it's close to Joe Biden. It's coming along. I expect it to be more of a split. So it's pretty good. So that's funny. I got asked about the Cowboys. I usually don't get asked about the Cowboys. Most people kind of hide themselves because they shouldn't even beat the Giants. That's how bad they are. That should tell you everything you need to know. They had a fourth tier quarterback almost beat their butt at home the other game. And only because he was fumbling and bumbling, that game was close. He don't throw that pick, Dallas might not win that game. That was a pretty close game. Okay. Okay, I think that just about does it. Barring somebody else comes through. And like I said, I'll probably be on a couple of hours. I'll see if anybody's on a couple of hours. So we're working. We appreciate when it stopped through. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for taking the poll questions, hitting the like and everything. And I'll probably be on. If I come back, I'll be on about an hour and a half to two. I'll do like a 1 hour thing. Um, Working on the video. So please hit like, subscribe, and check out the videos if you get a chance. Hit that membership. Stay safe, stay blessed. Appreciate all you coming through. And for now, I'm signing off for a moment, but I will be back on again. Peace and the best. I see you soon. All right, I'm out one time. Peace.